From CRI Simple Numbers, this is Profitability Playbook, the Simple Numbers Podcast, a podcast for those championing market growth and anchoring the nation's economy, small businesses, and entrepreneurs.
Hey there. Welcome to another episode of the Simple Numbers Profitability Playbook Podcast. I'm Mike Maxson. That's Brandon Gray. And happy Monday, my man.
Yeah, coming off of Easter weekend. So I hope you had some good time with the family, hid some eggs, found some eggs, all that good stuff. So I know it was busy for us, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners had a full weekend. So it was good.
You know, I love putting Easter baskets together for the kids because I totally buy the candy I'll eat, right? Like that's how you got to do
strategy.
it. That's right.
Yeah.
No Peeps either.
No, the worst candy ever.
Yeah. That's right. Awesome. Well, man, we got some fun stuff to talk about today. Sales and marketing labor efficiency. One we often probably don't bring up as much as the direct and management labor efficiency. Those are the popular ones, but people forget that you can measure marketing and sales effectiveness using the labor efficiency concepts. So set the stage for us, Mr. Gray.
Yeah, so Dustin, who's behind the scenes. Y'all don't get to hear from Dustin. Maybe we should have Dustin on a podcast. Send over some stats about podcast listens. And by the way, shout out. We appreciate everyone listening. The audience is growing. That's exciting to see. Be sure to tell all your friends, colleagues, fellow entrepreneurs, and what have you about the podcast. We want to keep growing it. But some of our most popular topics were around labor efficiency. So kind of got to going back through what we've talked about in the past and what can we continue to share with the listeners about this concept that if there's one thing Simple Numbers is known for, it's this concept of labor efficiency. And so today we're going to kind of tackle, as Mike mentioned, two of the ones that we don't talk as much about, but are extremely important. And that would be sales labor efficiency and marketing labor efficiency. So to kind of set the stage whenever we're working with a client, you start going through total labor efficiency is kind of the starting point. Look at that. And then we begin to dissect that a little bit deeper, and we move over to direct and management LER. You start to dissect that a little bit deeper. And on the direct side, if you can look at this depending upon how you're structured by location, by team, maybe even by individual. And then you get down to that admin management one, and it's kind of messy. You know, you can't really measure labor efficiency for certain positions. You look at your accounting team, you look at your customer service team, some of those kind of things, and it's, kind of sticky, trying to measure how effective they are just based on how they are. But there are two that have a direct correlation to margin production that you can. Sales LER and marketing LER. So which one you want to start with, Mike? You want to start with sales or you want to start with marketing?
The chicken or the egg? Let's go with marketing.
All right. I mean, theoretically, marketing should drive lead flow. Lead flow should drive sales and sales LER and what have you. So to look at marketing LER, what we're trying to identify is the return on marketing labor spent. So you have to do a little bit of dissection with your data. There's a handful of things you need to know. So the first is, what is gross margin? And for our new listeners, the simple numbers definition of gross margin is going to be revenue minus the non-labor direct cost. Make sure you isolate labor. We're rarely have I come across a marketing team who's responsible for direct labor. So we're going to remove that component. So it's just revenue minus the non-labor gross margin. The second thing you need to know is, what is your non-labor marketing expense? So it could be ad spend. It could be third-party marketing support. So if it's a true contractual relationship that, hey, you got a marketing agency, PR agency, marketing firm, whatever they may be, we will put those in that non-labor marketing spend bucket because you don't control those labor dollars, right? If you have a third-party marketing person who works kind of like an employee, but it's like a 1099 relationship, then I'm going to include them in marketing labor. So don't put them in that non-labor marketing spend. So anything, we put travel in there for sales and marketing activity, conferences, those kind of things. So anything that isn't labor related, has a purpose to drive or create lead flow or brand awareness. And you get this term that in full disclosure, we kind of stole. So it actually came from years ago, some of our e-commerce clients. And the term is called gross marketing. So if you look at gross margin minus non-labor marketing spend, you'll get gross margin. I know it's redundant. Another term, since we're from the South, that our clients have labeled it, which I think is pretty clever, is GMAM, gross margin after marketing, since we always say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, right? So you can, when you call it gross margin or GMAM, gross margin after marketing. So that becomes a key number. And I'm then, to get my marketing LER, going to divide that gross margin by the marketing labor spent. So let's talk a little bit about marketing labor spend. Who could that be? Who are they? The most obvious is if you have an internal team that is designated for marketing. And that could be a chief marketing officer. It could be a marketing lead, a manager of marketing activities, a lead flow specialist in some cases. The list goes on and on and on. And as I said earlier, if you have outside contractors that you kind of control, they predominantly work for you, there's not a substantial profit component built into their rates, I would include them in that bucket. So, Mike, anything else come to mind in terms of the numbers you need there for that calculation?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, where I think everyone gets stuck is at third-party marketing vendor, whether that's a single person or an organization. So that's where the hang up is anytime you explain it to someone. So I think you nailed it on that one.
There is likely a case too, to where a client has someone that wears multiple hats. You know, they might spend some of their time in marketing. They might spend some of their time in customer service. They may spend some of their time in sales. We kind of treat that on a one by one basis in terms of, do we want to split some of that labor out? A lot of times we get back to the butt in a bucket rule, 50% or more of their time, because keep in mind what the goal behind this metric is. It's to look at the return of the marketing labor spent. And if that return is going down, you got to change something. Okay. I've either got to get more output through gross margin, or I got to reduce marketing labor. If you put someone in that bucket, but you're never going to reduce the marketing labor spend, they probably don't belong to them. Just kind of an FYI, maybe a good number to know, but that takes away a lever you're going to have. If you put someone in there and you go, hey, if we can't get marketing output up, we're going to make a labor change, then they would go in. So
is there something to be said, though, just to play devil's advocate here? Because this is what I get when I talk about this stuff from people. So you gotta get it now. Like, let's say the marketing efficiency is down, but man, the sales aren't closing the leads. We got it. I mean, but hey, I see your point, but we have struggling salespeople or what have you. I mean, are you taking that as Bible, or does it provide context to look into a potential broader issue?
In most cases, it's usually more contextual, because the sales team is going to say, so if I put the two in different rooms and we interrogate.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
You know what the sales team is going to say? Well, the reason we're not selling is because we're not getting the right leads.
Yep.
And then the marketing team is going to say the reason our marketing efficiency is low is because the sales team isn't selling. Well, who's right? Depends. You know, if you're going to make that statement about the marketing team and you're a salesperson, what data can you bring to the table to show we're not getting the right leads? Was it a change in marketing strategy or change in marketing personnel, and all of a sudden the lead flow quality of lead changed? What constitutes a lead? That's another one.
Does it meet our core customer requirements? Maybe that's a good one. Yeah.
Sometimes the market has changed. Well, that might not be the marketing team's fault or issue. And, it might be you're not adjusting as a salesperson. So it really kind of depends. And as we go through this, it'll shed a little bit more light on kind of how do you How do you manage those situations, and what do you do about it? So to get the marketing LER, I'm dividing my gross margin by my marketing labor, and you're going to get a number. And everyone always will ask, well, what should that number be? It's very similar to direct LER. Well, you've got to look at the history of your company. You need to look at this data on a rolling 12 basis because of seasonality, and look at it over the last 12, 24 rolling 12 periods. Where is that number trending? So let's go through some examples here and kind of what do you do in different situations. So as I'm looking at that marketing LER, let's start with it's going up. We're going to be optimistic. Going up. So does that mean my team is doing a better job, or my marketing collateral, or both are doing a better job? Well, let's look at the marketing spend. So if marketing spend is increasing and gross margin's increasing, that could be a good thing. So I can get a little better idea of the efficiency of it by looking at the gross margin per marketing dollar spent. So it may be going up, but is it as efficient as it once was? And the answer, if you just started marketing, it's going to be no, because you went from zero activity and spend to now something. What we're seeing across the board is the efficiency of that is going down a little bit. A lot of it's a tough market. A lot of it's increased cost in marketing spend. So I can give you a little bit of an indicator there. But if all are still going up and the marketing LER is going up, it's kind of hard to beat up on you too much.
Now, Brandon, do we treat this like direct or management labor efficiency when it comes to the labor of, oh, the marketing effectiveness is doing good, so I got to hire more marketing people?
Great question.
I know.
So keep in mind, if you're comparing it to direct labor, whenever you have human constraints with direct labor, right? I can only perform so quickly. I can only do a task at the required level of completion and quality so fast. Management labor, which is where marketing labor falls, is much more flexible. And so,
yeah, I mean, you could run an ad that takes off, goes viral, hits everybody, and it blows up, and it took no effort.
Yeah. So just by nature, if you continue to see that number go up, doesn't necessarily inherently mean we need more marketing labor. You got to look at the activity. So are things, are we slow to get new marketing campaigns and initiatives out? Do we have a gap whenever we look at our marketing strategy in a certain area inside of marketing, whether that's copy design, which, by the way, especially on the copy, AI is your friend. Copy design strategy. Do we have a bottleneck there in terms of activity? So you can't just look at the LER and determine, okay, it's not so much a capacity indicator in this case, as much as it is, okay, how effective is that labor being?
Right. Kind of a little bit of a return on your spend. How much are we getting out of the margin, out of the labor? Yeah, for sure.
And it's a great way if you're looking at adding a new marketing team member. So I'm going to add marketing labor spend to this metric. I then can use the marketing LER to see what gross margin should I get once that person's fully up and going. And then I can ultimately back into margin revenue for that matter, of kind of going, all right, you want to add a marketing person? This is what they need to bring to the table. So it's a really cool kind of gut check, you might say, as far as that part goes. So,
what do you say about, though, one of the things that's always interesting and with that marketing spend is, and I forget the study, and I pulled it up before, but I'm not going to go searching for it right now because it just popped in my head. But marketing, some industries, some businesses, it really sort of, I hate to use the word caps out, but it's all I can think of, but it really caps out potentially at a certain level where you almost got to measure the effectiveness and profit return versus sometimes labor efficiency, given the sort of the dynamic. Like there's some industries and some ways where, like, hey, once you get spending over 500K of revenue, your return massively drops in terms of its effectiveness in dollar amount.
So that's where you kind of got to dissect it a little bit. So that's a good lead in. So let's talk about that in context of if you're seeing the marketing LER go down. What does that mean? What do you do about it? So, well, you got to, with any LER indicator, if it's going down, the first question is why? What's driving? So let's say my gross margin is staying level, but my marketing labor is going up. Okay, did I add people? And it's going to increase. And I'm just in one of those periods to where, because of the addition, those folks got to get up to speed. Could be the case. Did I do nothing? Nothing's really changed. Maybe some raises, and that's about it. But we're seeing it go down. That's the one that you kind of really got to drill down into and go, okay, you know what? Give you a football analogy. We got a great running back, and they have great yards per carry. But for the last 4 games, their yards per carry have went down. So your marketing LERs went down. Well, has the defense changed? Do we need to call some different plays? And as think of the marketing team as somewhat of that offensive coordinator. If that's the case, you're seeing it go down, the return on labor spend. They got to do something different. So are you experimenting with potential new marketing activities? If I see that trend across time continue to go down, that's probably a sign that my gross margin dollars are going down. If you can't bring something to the table on how to increase that and change it, make a move, then we got to have come to Jesus talk, right? There's a problem. We're seeing a lot of that right now, where tough marketplace, marketing's changed. We've talked a lot about that. Folks continue to spend on marketing labor, and then they're not bringing anything new to take. It's kind of like run the play again. Maybe it'll work this time. Well, it hadn't worked the last 15 times. It's not going to magically start working. So yeah, you definitely kind of got to dive into that and see. Now, one caveat, and this is we see this with like attorneys. If you're in a ultra competitive marketing environment, then the landscape changes. More folks are involved in your marketplace. The cost of marketing goes up, and you start to see that marketing LER go down. Mm-hmm. But your gross margin continues to go up. So that's just a decline in efficiency. So that's where you get back to what Mike was saying. Look at the return from a profitability standpoint.
Yeah. And I just want people, because sometimes with direct and management labor efficiency, I don't want to say it's, blatantly definitive on if it goes up and goes down, what's going on, but I feel it's a lot more clear than where the marketing one is. The marketing one, I feel like there's several different factors that sort of work that could be working against it. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have to dig in and kind of ask a lot of questions and continue to analyze. And it could just be a bad campaign and what have you. The biggest thing behind it, why I want to look at it and have a pulse on it, is that it is a great indicator to know in terms of performance, and do I need to examine deeper and should I make a change? If you look at it and it's like, hey, it keeps going up, everything looks great, well, we just keep rolling. But given the marketplace we're in right now, you got to keep your finger on it in most cases. And so, anything else there, Mike, on marketing LER before we go to sales?
No, let's get into sales.
All right. Like this one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the salespeople listening to this right now, like, oh, God, what are they going to say?
Here's the biggest thing with this. You got to look at margin, not revenue, whenever you're looking at sales LER. That I would say that's the number one issue or mistake that folks make, is they're looking at sales per dollar spent. Well, in some cases you can get away with that because sales and margin are the same number, like professional services in many cases. Or you sell everything at the exact same margin and there's not a diversity of product or service. In those cases, there's very, very little shift. But for most companies, they have different products. They have different services. They have different margins on all of those. And so, $1 million sale at a 10% margin is not the same as $1 million sale at a 90% margin. That's simple math, right? So you've got to look at the margin being produced, and preferably by each salesperson. Now, you can't get that in all cases, and we're aware of that. If you can track it and go, hey, this is what this project this customer, whatever it may be, this sales territory, they did all the selling. What margin did we produce? Because I'm going to look at that gross margin divided by my sales labor, and that's going to give me my sales LER. And when we say sales labor, that includes all sales comp, regardless of the form of compensation.
Yep.
It could be salary, it could be bonus, it could be commission, whatever it is, it's the total. Because that's what I ultimately paid for that production of gross margin dollars. And what I really like about this one, if you've got multiple salespeople, they're usually competitive, which I love. You can start to look at the LER by salesperson, and a lot of fire under some people. Learn, have the one who's leading kind of help and groom some of the others, teach them, train as far as that part goes, elevate everyone else's game. I would say when we see this number declining on a per person basis, most of the time it's because it is a senior salesperson who's been there. And Mike, what happens with senior salespeople over the years for their compensation?
It goes massively up.
It goes up, which is not necessarily a bad thing, if they continue to produce. But in many cases, you see that there is somewhat of a limitation in the sales side, especially if there's a lot of face-to-face gripping and grinning direct involvement. You can only service and see so many accounts. You can only cover so large of a territory. And so you see that base salary for that salesperson continue to go up. Many times their commissions continue to go up, and you look at it and go, okay, my labor efficiency on them is going down. Is that bad? Maybe, maybe not. Back to what we talked earlier with the marketing and the return on investment. I still want to look at in this case, what we call a contribution margin by the salesperson. So to get that, you just take your gross margin minus the sales labor. That gives you the contribution margin, just like it would in a simple numbers P&L. My LER may be going down, but is the contribution margin going up? Meaning, hey, I'm not as effective or as efficient for every labor dollar spent, but we're generating more and more dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You can't spend the LER, but you can spend the margin dollars, right? So you want to look at those two. If both are going down, that's a red flag. I got a problem. Something's changed. What do we got to do to get this person back on track? And if you got someone that is a newer salesperson and maybe they've been there a year or two and you see they're just not getting off the ground, they are your most expensive employee. Not because of what you pay them, but because of what they're not producing.
Brandon, you ever, I know when it comes to my client models, like for me, I don't really love looking at sales labor efficiency. I do, but I don't love it. Is when they have like one or two salespeople. I really like it when there's like a substantial team, 5, 6, 7 people, they're out there selling, they're pounding the pavement, stuff like that. I've never, it's really high and wonky sometimes. And I've had a tough time always getting a beat on like, well, is that really that one guy? Because you have the owner mixed in there, bringing stuff in. You have some clients that give additional work, where a lot of times in an organization where, hey, there's 7 of them, it's like legit high, like it's sales requirement. I mean, so you just see this real high labor efficiency. And again, back to the context, you sort of have to look, I feel better just looking at individual performance of like, hey, how many deals have they brought in or what have you? What do you talk about that to the small business guy, 3-4 million in revenue, might have one salesperson, is it worth measuring sales labor efficiency with one salesperson, or is that more of an individual, like just, hey, have they sold X amount of work that we needed?
Both. And here's why. So it also depends upon, because we group sales labor most of the time in management labor. What else do we have in that management labor bucket? Okay. So let's say you need, like I said at the beginning of the call, you kind of follow, start total LER, direct LER, management. So we're following management LER and we're seeing that number go down. So when we start to see that go down, we start prying into it. Now we want to determine, why is management LER going down? Is it because we added more customer service team, we added more marketing team, we added more sales team, we added more accounting and back office team, we added more IT, whatever it may be? Whenever you start adding more categories to that management labor bucket, that's where dividing it out can help you see, okay, is it because sales isn't performing? Is it because we overhired in marketing? Is it because we have a really expensive IT person? Why is that the case? And so if you've got multiple different types of teams that are part of that management LER, even though the number may be a little wonky, I want to look at it across time to go, okay, was it going down because of sales? Was it going down because of something else? So that's where looking at it, I think, provides value. Now, if you're a smaller company, you've got one salesperson, like Mike explained. You got minimum back office labor. Then I'm probably not going to go through the pain of trying to segregate out all of the margin dollars. This, he sold this one, didn't sell this one, what have you. If I see it going down, in most cases in those situations, it's likely the sales issue.
Yeah, I look at it as too is in that small company example, because I know we have small businesses listening to this, and they might have one salesperson. Like typically that person actually might do active sales, but usually they're involved too in some other aspect of, whether it's just helping the marketing side, trying to set the company up administratively for sales success. There's more. I feel like that's a lot of times there's more of a management labor component. I think that now there is small businesses that, hey, that person's straight commission, go out, sell, have a nice day, and we do it. But in other ones, that salesperson is providing additional management value in there. So just like sometimes in a $4 million company, when someone's like, oh, I got a marketing director, and it's like, well, is it, you got 40 hours a week in marketing directing, or are they taking up some administrative support for the running of the business as well? So that's why for me, one salesperson, small business, is when you start adding multiple, it really helped that. I really like that calculation.
The bang for the buck is obviously when you get the multiple ones, you got multiple things in your management labor.
Yeah.
So then, you look at it and you go, well, what do we do about it? If we see it going down, if we see a person's going down, if we see the entire group's going down, well, the first thing I'm going to ask is, did you change comp plans? And a lot of times the answer is yes. We rolled out a new commission structure. We rolled out a new bonus plan, yada, yada, yada. It's like, okay, did we miss with that, the way that plan was rolled out? Did it have an unintended consequence? That many times is kind of where he starts. So before you roll anything out, let's model it and kind of see what it's going to look like and perform in terms of dollars. Just another little nugget on this one. Don't get wrapped around the axle of creating a plan. First, identify a target comp for each person on your market, their performance, and where they should be. Then back into what the plan should be. That's how you avoid paying someone $400,000 that you should have paid them $190,000, which I have seen.
Oh my gosh, dude. We'd be rich if we had $1 for every time a company came and had a ridiculously overpaid salesperson. It's insane. Like, I've seen ones, first of all, they definitely can sell, because they definitely can sell the comp package they want to the owner. Because man, it's,
And we're in favor of salespeople making a lot of money. Sometimes it's great. But we want to stay within market steel for that salesperson. We might go slightly above it for a rock star, but if you can go hire the top performing salesperson in your industry for $200K, and you're paying someone $400K, we're leaving dollars on the table. So yeah, we want to be cognizant of that. So, but yeah, that's it, Mike. That's sales LER, marketing LER, a little bit more granular. If you got questions on them, hit us up. If you need help calculating it, hit us up.
Definitely more context than these ones. I will say that before we go, like there's a lot more. You're looking at several different aspects of business when it comes to judging those LERs. It's not as simple as sometimes, it's going down, it's going up. There could be several factors that do that. I gave you an example, like, hey, the sales is looking great, man. Sales labor efficiency is going up, or the owner just pulled off a big deal over here. We're not measuring him because he's the owner and he's in management labor, but he still spins deals every once in a while. And, so there's just stuff like that you got to be mindful of, but still nonetheless, super valuable metrics you definitely should be tracking. So keep doing that. But Brandon, before we go, we still have anything coming up in November or anything like that we want to talk about?
We do. We're going to continue to talk about it. So if you want to compare your sales comp plan and maybe what your marketing comp plan and marketing team looks like and all that to other Simple Numbers clients and kind of talk with them about it, we got a place for you on that. The Simple Numbers Summit. There's going to be breakouts. There's going to be time. There's going to be dinners. There's going to be designated client interaction periods to where you can chat with our other clients, see what they're doing. We're going to have some client Q&A as well. So you can just ask them straight from the stage what they're doing, learn from them as well. So the Simple Numbers Summit's the place to do that. November 9th through 11th in Austin, Texas. The simplenumbersummit.com tells you all about it, what's going on, when it's going on, who's going to be there. We got a handful of opportunities left for sponsorships as well. So if you're interested in that, but we got another meeting today about it, Mike. You know,
we do.
Regular. We're planning it out. Our marketing team's kicking butt on it. I mean, so it's going to be a really great time. Definitely worth your time and your investment. simplenumbersummit.com. Go there and sign up.
Awesome. All right. Well, that wraps us up for this week. For Brandon and Mike, and we'll catch y'all later.
See y'all.
If you want to know more about driving sustainable profitability for your business or are interested in learning more about CRI Simple Numbers, please visit our website at simplenumberscri.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of Profitability Playbook, the Simple Numbers podcast. You can subscribe to Profitability Playbook on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review. This podcast is brought to you by CRI Simple Numbers LLC, a division of CRI Capital Group LLC, and a subsidiary of CRI Advisors LLC. CRI is the trusted brand under which Carr, Riggs & Ingram LLC, the CPA firm, and CRI Advisors LLC, along with its subsidiaries, deliver professional services. Please note, Carr, Riggs & Ingram LLC is a licensed independent CPA firm offering attest services, whereas CRI Advisors LLC and its subsidiaries specialize in providing tax and business consulting services. These entities operate within an alternative practice structure as defined by the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct and comply fully with applicable laws, regulations, and professional standards. Ready to simplify your business finances and drive growth? Explore valuable resources, books, and tools designed for entrepreneurs and small businesses at simplenumberscri.com.